All right, my name is Judson Powell. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Please hit all the buttons and enjoy the teaching today. All right. So what I'm going to do is I kind of teased this on the last 15-minute one that I did, and so I'm just going to do a teaching on the Queen and the spiritual aspect of what just happened and what they just put down on the entire world. And I guess a lot of times, y'all, I know everybody's like, oh, well, this, that, and the other thing is a conspiracy theory, the Illuminati, da, 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 da. Well, let me explain something to you. All of these people, they operate according to spirituality, and they operate according to Imhotep, the master Freemason, the first Freemason, and the inventor of the Masonic, and all of that. So you got to understand that everything that you've been taught all your life is so that they can keep power and control over you, right? So everything that they do from an aspect of trying to keep you subdued. That's the word I'm looking for. All right. So basically, all they're trying to do is to keep you subdued for your entire life, right? So things like when you add all of the stuff up, and then you figure out what your soul / spirit is / the part of humanity that you might have within you, all of those things, emotions, there's a lot of stuff that you could throw in the pot, right? And so they try to control all of those aspects, and the first way that they try to control it is, of course, by religion, and second of all, through things like the monarchy and things like that. Because let's face it, that's the last, well, maybe the National Football League too. The National Football League and the Roman Catholic Church and that whole Queen of England, King of England stuff, all of those things are there to control and subdue you, right? So, and of course, they don't want you to know what's going on. And then the first trick, well, one of the first tricks that they used was what? Was telling you in scriptures that everything that you or that your ancestors believed in was somehow evil, maniacal, diabolical, whatever. And so they take the narratives because they control the presses and they control the media, they control all of the things, the dissemination of information throughout the world. You have to understand that, because their families, don't get it twisted. There may have been a Revolutionary War where the people here in the United States fought the people in Great Britain, but trust and believe, they're all related. It's just like right now, like Russians are fighting the Ukrainians and vice versa, but they're all the same people. They are in humanity, they're the same exact people. They're just fighting each other. So, which is what I always say, fratricide. Just like we got black, young men or boys in Chicago shooting and killing each other. We got rappers shooting and killing each other. We got all that kind of stuff. So it happens. The same thing when in Northern Ireland, in Belfast, right there, what was going on? The Protestants were fighting the Catholics. They're the same people, though. Their lineage, their line, their generations are all the same. So now, but the trick is to say, look, you shouldn't do this because this is evil. But when you look at all of the things and you add them up, the changing of the calendar, the celebration of holidays that that the church might deem to be evil or whatever, but they celebrate them. I mean, come on, you have churches, right? You have churches and religions that celebrate Halloween, which is a celebration of demonic spirits and dead spirits, or whatever you want to say, right? But they celebrate this. They celebrate this, every year. Same thing with Easter, which is more about procreation and I guess just making sure that the fertility and all of that is straight with people, and the things that they did to celebrate these things. When you think about them, they're in your mind because they've told you certain things. In your mind, they're evil. So now let's get to this. Okay, so Oshan is a deity and a goddess. So the queen, according to what was put out there, she died on the festival day for Oshan, or Oshan, however you pronounce it, right? I might not be pronouncing it 100% correctly, but you understand. So go and look the goddess up, right? And what she is as time goes by, right? As time goes by, she takes on different names. And so she takes on different names, but what? Same spirit. Different name, same spirit. Different name, same spirit, right? Same spirit. So where did these spirits come from? They're Yoruba. Because most of the people that were bought here in the Atlantic slave trade came from places that practiced Yoruba. The Yoruba, for lack of a better word, religion. Okay, but when we go and we look, just like all of the things that are practiced in Yoruba are practiced in the English-speaking colonies in the Caribbean, in the United States and Mexico, et cetera, across the world. That's what the whole thing about, that's what Mardi Gras is. And if you go to Nigeria or Benin, right? And you go, which Nigeria used to be Benin, but the royal crown, the descendants of the ancestors of the queen broke all of that up. And most of the art and everything that you see came from Benin, Nigeria. What is now the country Benin is small, but Nigeria is huge. Okay, in land mass. But that's where the majority of us came from, and from the regions, the upper regions. Of Ghana, where people talk about the Ashanti and all that. That's the tribe that everybody knows, and the reason why is because they were strong and they could do the job that they needed for slavery. They could farm, they could stay out in the sun up to sundown all day, all of those type of things. They were just strong people, and we are their descendants, which is why in the western part of Africa, when we come back, they admire us, which we don't really understand. We just look at the way things are here in the United States, and so we make a judgment about all people in Africa, but it's not true. All Nigerians, and they don't hate you. In fact, I did a paper on that in college, and And so my focus was interviewing Nigerians. And so I interviewed a bunch of Nigerians, and most of them said the same thing. And the one thing that they all had in common, the single common denominator, was that they felt like we had opportunity, but we didn't take advantage of our opportunities. That if they had the same opportunities, that they would make more of the opportunities. And so that was the like the stumbling block. And so because they didn't see us as being serious or being taken serious. And we all know that they also have extensive media and all of that kind of stuff. They got their own Hollywood. What is it, Bollywood or whatever they call it, right? So they make their own entertainment and their own films and their own this, that, and the other thing, which is the thing that Malcolm X talked about as far as being able to make your own way and make your own product. So now, focusing back on Yoruba though, all of those Yoruba traditions passed down. And so as they got passed down, a lot of them ended up in the Pentecostal church and the Baptist church, etc. But it was tempered with that whole thing of, we got this overseer, and the overseer is going to say what you can hear and what you can't hear inside of that Bible, right? Because once again, and I teach this all the time, you got to understand all of the things in the Bible are not false. There is wisdom in the Bible, but it's in code. And so unless you know that codis and scriptus, you have no clue about what you're reading, or you're going to take what you're reading out of context, or you're just not going to understand what it is you're reading at all. And the black church in America does not want you to know, because up until recently, all they were about was money. They just wanted to collect their tithes and offerings, go on up the street, put the payment down on the Rolls Royce and roll out. So that's how that whole thing just started to come about. So now let me go back a little bit and say, now look, so they took stuff in the Bible out of context, or they put things in the Bible that they wanted to make sort of like your culture. They invented a lot of the things that we do in our culture. And so just like and I give you an example from the church, speaking in tongues. And so now, what does the scripture say? If you can't speak in tongues unless there's an interpreter, okay, or in order to be recognized as having the third prong of the Trinity, you have to have the Holy Ghost, and the Holy Ghost is evidenced by speaking in tongues, right? Roma kandarabosha, rokaba odarabosha, romi shanda hakata bohokunda. But what is that? Somebody interpret that for me. What is it? It's one of our native tongues that they took away from us, then told us that it's evil, put restrictions on it. You can't use it unless there's somebody else there that can interpret it. Well, unless there was somebody, because there's different, just like with Spanish, like there's different dialects in Spanish, like different places speak Spanish differently. Well, the same thing is true. There's probably, but I'm just put it this way. There are hundreds of languages in Africa. And so what did the colonizers do? The colonizers went and they took their language and replaced it, took our language and replaced it with their language. So things that we used to do or could do, we can't do because what? We have a blockage in communication now. See, just like when people speak Spanish and they're from a certain area or whatever, then that's a unifying thing for them, right? But put it this way, at one point, the British Crown owned pretty much almost half the world. And then the French and the Spanish and, the Dutch and all of these people, right? They also had things. So they just went and they colonized the entire world. And it was about greed and money. And so then when the slave trade came about, and see, the thing about it is we only talk about the slave trade in terms of or slavery in terms of what went on here in the United States, but I mean every other place has the same type of horrendous stories. And one of the places that Yoruba really saturated was Haiti, and we still got people coming on TV talking about Haiti is cursed. No, Haiti ain't cursed. You know what's wrong with Haiti? People keep bothering them, leave them people alone, or stealing from them. And the other thing they don't like about Haiti was that Haiti was one of the only colonies that revolted. So you got, and they were taken there. They didn't just, they were taken there, and then the same thing with Jamaica, they were taken there and then bred. So think about that. So now let's go back to spiritual, right? So the queen disappeared before she died. She went to where? She went to Balmoral. How long was she there? See, this is the whole thing. How long was she there? Go look this stuff up. She was there just like the amount of days that quote unquote the Messiah was in hell. And then on the third day, she's dead. But what was it? She was a sacrifice to Oshan. She was a sacrifice. And y'all, everybody, think about it. They went through all the whole and guess what? And Prince Charles was nowhere around. The heir apparent, right? The heir apparent was not around. Completely somewhere else. So there he was completely blameless in everything that could have gone on, right? So his hands were washed clean. Right? So all of that, and then the next thing that comes, what? Is the harvest moon. And what color is the harvest moon? It's yellow. And what's the color that's associated with Oshun? Yellow. Right? I mean, just start putting this stuff together. So they make a sacrifice to a goddess, and that goddess throughout time, right? The name changes, right? But the spiritual energy is the same. Oshun is Isis, is Nefertiti, is Osset. So it's a sacrifice to our Queen Mother. So that they can keep power in the spiritual realm. Look at and when the funeral and all that, y'all gonna look at it on TV. Look at it. You got the checkerboard. Look at Westminster Abbey. It's nothing but a ritualistic building. It's all for rituals, right? It's all for rituals. Look at the floor. It's got the Masonic floor, right? Look at the drapery and everything that's set up inside of that temple. So they made the sacrifice in the spirit, and now they're going to make the sacrifice in the body. All right, y'all don't want to, like my bishop used to say, y'all don't want to pray with me this morning. But it's just too coincidental. And to know that festival was there, and then the longest reigning queen on the earth, in the earth realm, was taken or given or both. Anyway, and that's the thing. So y'all got to think about this stuff. But they tell you all of this stuff is evil, but they practice it. They let you practice all your religions and stuff like that, and then they go right into those Masonic halls, the Scottish Rite, all that stuff. Man, they running the world from inside of those temples. And I remember a good friend of mine, and we used to have these philosophical conversations. And I said, bruh, what's the inside of temples? Spirits, gods. That's what's inside of temples. Or so they say. But they're not. They're inside of you and me and everything else. Right? Because they need a conduit. They need a body to inhabit after they leave the earth realm. And that's why we have all of these names of the evolution of Oshun, and we know that she evolved up until this day, because the good queen, right, is gonna give you the harvest, gonna give you the stuff that you work for. That's our queen. But we don't do nothing. We don't do nothing for her. Think about it. We're inactive. We calling on the name of some zombie in the sky, and in the meanwhile, they're calling on the true and living God. The sun, look, when they tell you worship, the sun comes out every day. Look, let me tell you something. If the sun don't come out tomorrow, bet your bottom dollar that we all are fucked up. If the sun don't come out tomorrow, y'all, it's done. It's a done dizzle. So what's the most powerful force and energy in our universe that we know of is those stars, is those planets, not the planets, but those stars, the things like the sun. And there are billions of suns out there. And why are we so scared to delve into what our ancestors taught us? Because that is what we need in order to survive. And we have allowed people to take those things from us and use them against us. Where we're praying to some false BS that they made up, and walking around calling ourselves by names and everything else that has nothing to do with us. Nothing. Not a thing. And I get it. Everybody wants to belong to something. Everybody wants to be a part of something, and this, that, and the other thing. I get it. But there are certain things in the earth realm that have power and certain things that do not. And they discovered where the power was, and once they discovered where it was, they cut us off of it, and they just kept feeding into it. And kept practicing and kept doing things. And you need to go to Benin and go to those places. And I'm gonna tell you something else. In Africa, especially in West Africa, they got Catholic churches everywhere. And guess what they're practicing inside of those buildings? They're practicing Yoruba. Yeah, it'll be a Virgin Mary statue on the outside, but on the inside, you can best believe that there are Yoruba altars inside of those places. Just like we don't set up altars to our ancestors, we don't ask them for help. A lot of them are floating around, and y'all don't even talk to them, use them, do nothing, because y'all don't believe. People be, and I know I don't get, it's like I give condolences and things like that when people pass, but let me explain something to you. Energy it can only be transformed. It can't be killed. That's how come they could say in the Bible, oh yeah, you got everlasting life. Because you do. It just ain't here on this planet. But that's it. And why do you think the ancients, why do you think our ancestors were so concerned about the speed of sound and the speed of light and all of those things? Those are the calculations that they came up with. Studying the Most High. Studying their own surroundings and their own nature and all of those things. Those are the things that you got to be in tune to, and those are the things that they are in tune to. They're in tune to that stuff, and they know what's going on. They say, hey, Queen, oh, she's 96 years old, she about to die, let's sacrifice her to Oshan. And why are y'all so scared of the spiritual world? Because everybody's going to end up there. No choice. You have no choice. You're going to end up there. Anyway, that's 30 minutes. I'm not going to keep y'all no more. I'm sorry. And I hope you have a good day. I love all of you. And remember, that's out of all the universal keys. Once again, that's why we always preach in love and this, that, and the other thing, because you gotta have it or the other keys don't work. It's like you got two locks on the door. You got a top lock, which is love, and then you got a bottom lock, which could be all the other stuff, as above, so below. Anyway, I love you all.